Welcome and thanks for logging on to WYCC.org for In the Loop, the Post Show. Joining us today are our guests, Kristen McQueary, editorial board member for the Chicago Tribune, Jinja Birkenbeuel, president and CEO of Birkdesign Inc, and public relations consultant Michelle Damico. Welcome.
Thank you.
Archer Daniels Midland, the supermarket to the world, is now asking the state of Illinois for about $24 million in tax breaks to keep about 100 corporate jobs here in Illinois. Kristen, is this corporate welfare or good business on the part of ADM in the city?
Well, the Chicago Tribune editorial board argued in favor of this, that this is not corporate welfare, that this is an existing business in Illinois, and if Illinois wants to be competitive, it has to lower its corporate tax rate, lower sales tax rates, get our property taxes under control, and companies are going to continue to come looking for handouts until Illinois does that. I personally don't think that the state should be continually offering companies any sort of tax breaks, because where's the line? I mean, we had a special session 2 years ago to extend a property tax break for Sears and to create a new tax break for CME Group, and the line just keeps growing. So I think the state needs to be tougher and say no.
And it's ludicrous, in my opinion, because first of all, ADM says it wants to move to Chicago. They're not even moving out of Illinois. At least that's not their plan. And they have generated $89 million in revenue in 2012, and they're asking for really what amounts to pennies. Crane Chicago Business called it ADM's coupon clipping. That's what they're basically doing, trying to cash in a few coupons with the state of Illinois when we are broke, when we're in trouble.
And Jinja, does this set a precedent if the state has to give a tax credit to every single company that threatens to leave?
I think it does, and I think specifically with ADM, they're not going to hurt by not getting this tax credit at all.
Well, there was another interesting piece in Cranes a few weeks ago about one of the principals at ADM buying a multi-million-dollar townhome in the city of Chicago, so I'm wondering if they're going anywhere here.
Right.
But should the state continue to subsidize these businesses? I mean, do they risk having people leave town on their watch or leave the state on their watch?
They've created a horrible habit, and the climate in this country is states competing against each other to land business. So yes, they've had a history of giving these corporate handouts to major corporations, and they know that behind their backs are Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, Tennessee, trying to lure the business
and Texas,
away.
Rick Perry came here to try to...
But I actually think that, you know, the state doesn't really need to issue tax credits to any businesses. This is a great place to do business. There's a lot of resources that we have in the state of Illinois. There's phenomenal tourist attractions. There's a very large skilled workforce here. We have colleges and universities. We have young people that are looking for jobs. There's plenty of opportunity for large corporations to work here. They don't need a tax credit. And giving them one is giving them that, plus the benefits of big city living.
One of the things we have in the state that we don't want. Talking about a tough transition.
Nice segue.
Rats, giant rats. Rats so big in parts of Chicago that according to DNAinfo.com, they are scaring cats and dogs. And the reporter for this story, Wendell Hudson, who was one of our panelists not long ago, called the city, and the city at first said, look, we can't do anything about it. That's private property. We can't clean up the abandoned homes that are producing the rats. Michelle?
Which makes me wonder, are they recession rats? Because are they the rats that have been feasting on all these abandoned buildings that the banks left behind because of all the failed mortgages, rats ganging up into Inglewood or whichever neighborhoods and taking advantage and growing because of that. And also I was reading in New Orleans that they also have a big problem with rats, with gigantic rats that come out of the swamps, and people actually cook them.
This is such a disgusting topic. Ew.
But you know, this is where I was so disturbed that the alderman in the ward was also throwing up his hands. Oh, you know, this is private property. We can't do anything. You're an alderman. You have to keep track of, you know, 3 square miles. You have children who are not allowed to go outside and play because they're afraid of this rat problem, and you're wiping your hands of it. I mean, this is precisely the type of task that aldermen should be taking care of. Private property or not, there's health risk here.
And it's funny to see how a little bit of pressure worked. After that story broke, it appeared on the local television news, and lo and behold, the very next day, the city crews were out cleaning up this rat-infested house.
And I think it's important that people in the community, as well as the aldermen, report when they see dirt and filth and trash. I mean, people all need to kind of pitch in and call 311. Call the police if needed. If you have rats the size of cats, that is, to me, a federal disaster. I mean, we need help. Call the National Guard. But I'm going to be really, this story was about Inglewood in particular. I'm really looking forward to other companies, for example, like Whole Foods going to Inglewood, because I think that when an organization like that, with their thought leadership in food and their experience with working with under-resourced communities like in Detroit, they're going to help beautify the streets. They will bring in extra police because of Whole Foods. They'll bring recognition and attention to a community that everybody ignores. I think these things are really important for a community like Inglewood, because when I call 311, they come and get the rats in my neighborhood. So there's some good things that can come of this. I hate reading stories about this. I feel really bad for that community. Who wants to read about giant rats?
Oh, I don't even want to think about giant rats. But on that note, Kristen McQueary, Jinja Birkenbeuel, and Michelle Damico, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
And be sure to check out In the Loop every week, Thursday nights at 7. And thanks for joining us here at WYCC.org.